Hi everyone, it's me, Diana Layton, Youth Librarian at the Mark and Emily Turner Memorial Library in Presque Isle, Maine, here to present my August 2010 Teen Book Talk, where I will talk about The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. And I really love this book. I heart this book. It's one of those books that I want to shove into everybody's hands and say, you should read this and you'll really like it. I promise you, you'll really like it. Maybe. What's interesting about it is that it's kind of an autobiography in a lot of ways of the author Sherman Alexie, put into a teen YA book format, but it works. We're introduced to the character Arnold Spirit, who's 14 years old and living on a reservation in the Pacific Northwest in Washington State. And Arnold's childhood hasn't really been easy. He was born with a condition called water on the brain, where he had excess fluid, and the doctors weren't really sure how he was going to turn out. But as a result, he suffered from seizures, stuttering. His head and feet kind of developed too large, so they're a little bit out of proportion and present this awkward appearance. Not surprisingly, Arnold gets beat up pretty frequently on the reservation, and like a lot of dorky kids, the way he gets by is by picking the toughest kid he can find, in this case his best friend Rowdy, and just making it work and using Rowdy as his ray of hope to just kind of get through the day. And he has to get through the day because life on the reservation isn't easy at all. There's a lot of poverty. Arnold doesn't always know where he's going to get his next meal. He tells us, some stories about things that have happened as a direct result of the poverty, and they're heartbreaking. But what's interesting about Arnold is that his voice in telling us his story is honest. He's very self-aware. He knows the situation that he's in. He's been living it his whole life. And it's candid and funny, which you wouldn't expect. But he's a really funny kid. And the other thing that you'll find is he draws pictures to kind of further tell his story. They're actually done by Ellen Forney. But, those of you who have read or at least heard of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series, which is angled more towards older kids and tweens, but is also really funny. It's a similar kind of situation where having those illustrations, which probably reveal more about Arnold than just the words on the page, really give us a sense of things. But yeah, so the real turning point for Arnold is he goes to school one day, he gets his textbook, does like we all do, you open the front cover, you go to write your name, and he sees his mom's name, which means that this is the same textbook that his mom used probably over 30 years ago. And he's really upset that the school can't purchase new textbooks. So he just takes his and throws it and hits his teacher. And he gets in a lot of trouble. But his teacher forgives him and starts talking to him about, what are you going to do to reach your full potential? And basically says, you need to get off the res. Or you need to get off the reservation and go the next town over and go to this predominantly white school. That's how you're going to get the opportunities that you need. And Arnold does it. He says that he's going to do it, and he just kind of makes it work. So he leaves the reservation where he wasn't really that accepted. And he goes to a predominantly white school where he's not completely accepted, as a Native American student. And now the situation at home on the reservation, because he's going to the school, is even more intense, and people just kind of ignore him or kind of call him different things, and the kids at school call him different things. So there's definitely this examination of, so much of it is more about Arnold being a Native American, which is who he is, and he knows that that's who he is, and he knows how to kind of deal with it. But at the same time, he's 14 and he's figuring out who he is, like we all kind of do when we're 14. And watching that and seeing what he goes through is really what's great and relatable about it. I think especially for anyone who grows up in a small town, it might be in northern Maine, it could be somewhere completely different, where there are those issues of acceptance versus tradition, or at least expectation. Here's how you should be, and, here's how you stick with the pack, compared to what you really want to do, which might not always fall into that. And to have Arnold's situation where there's all these different packs, and he kind of has to figure out how he's going to fit in. But, which again, a lot of teen books do, but there's definitely something about this. And, I think it's mostly the fact that it could be a really sad book, and there are definitely really sad moments in it. But at the same time, there are moments that are really funny, kind of dirty, and and perverted, because Arnold is a 14-year-old boy, so that's how he talks. And then there are moments that are sad and funny at the same time, especially with the illustrations in the book. And I think that realism, that honesty that we get from the character is what makes a book like this so important, and why I would shove it in everybody's hands and make them read it. But I will leave it at that, and I will see you guys next month. Bye!